Hey everybody, I'll wait for a few people to come in. This is kind of an off the cuff live stream because what I've just seen on Twitter is mind blowing to me. It just really is. I doubt people are going to come in because I haven't actually advertised this at all. But I could have made a video about this, but I just put a video up. So I thought a live stream would be a better way of dealing with this. But I'll put it on the screen because I don't think everybody's going to come in. I think it's a bit early in the day for live streaming. But yeah, right, two people watching, right. So this is an emergency stream because I was on Twitter and then I came across this on Twitter. I'm going to show you in a minute. And it just confused me. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Sorry for my language, but it just did. You can tell from the title of the live stream. But I'll just put it on screen. Right, I'll just put it on screen. Right, so Richard Inman says exactly to this. A new party can't just emerge from and outpoll the establishment parties, which is why we need to vote for reform, a party which was officially incorporated in 2021. Right, for one thing, Richard Inman is a UKIP member. He's always pushing UKIP. So why is he telling people to go and vote for the Reform Party? I've got no clue about that. And why do people always act like there's no alternative to the Reform Party? I don't get it. I just don't get it at all. I really don't. I don't understand these people. They've made video after video all this week telling us that the Reform Party is awful and you really shouldn't vote for them because the people who are involved in the Reform Party are awful people. We all know this. And I'm not going to keep voting for the lesser of evils. I'm just not going to keep doing that. I refuse to do it. And that's what they're asking for here. We keep doing it, right? Oh, the Labour Party is bad, right? We can vote for the Tories. They're the lesser of evils, but it's better than having the Labour Party in. And then vice versa. Oh, we've got to vote for the Labour Party because it's better than the Tory Party. It's the lesser of the evils. And now we're on to the Reform Party, aren't we? Where it's like, well, we've got to vote for the Reform Party because it's the lesser of evils of the mainstream parties. It's like circular logic, isn't it? It's insane. And I don't get it. I really don't get it. There's already an established party out there already, UKIP, which Richard Inman is a member of. Why isn't he pushing UKIP? Why can't people get behind UKIP? Because surely that would send a better message to the Reform Party, wouldn't it? That, oh shit, but we're losing support because people are voting for UKIP. They're moving to UKIP. They're supporting them. Maybe that would be a better way of getting the Reform Party on track, which I don't think they'll do. I'm angry, as you can tell, because this is utter bullshit. This absolute utter bullshit. It really is. The main function we have to do at the minute is get behind an alternative, right? I am not going to reward the Reform Party for being evil, because that's what they are. They're evil. Look at what they've done to Rupert Lowe. They've tried to destroy a man's life. I'm not going to reward a party that does that to a person. I'm going to throw my weight behind another party, UKIP or whatever. I just don't get it. I really don't. These people are insane. They really are. A vote for reform is a wasted vote. Exactly. Because they're not offering anything. Our goal must save our country. That means mass deportations and stop the Islamification of our country. Nothing else matters if this isn't achieved. Exactly. And the Reform Party isn't offering that, are they? They're not offering any of that. Whereas UKIP is. I just don't understand this type of mentality. We've got to vote for the Reform Party. Why? They're not offering anything. If anything, at the minute, they're going to be worse. And what happens, right? And I know I've seen this argument as well. I'm going to put this out there. People are saying that we should vote for reform in the local elections because it's the councillors. They don't necessarily agree with the leadership of the Reform Party. We've seen what's been happening to those local branches. Anybody that isn't agreeing with Nigel Farage is being shut down. We've seen it. And what's to stop the Reform Party replacing all these county council candidates who are against Farage. What's stopping them from replacing those people with Farage stooges that will toe the party line? That's what we're seeing at the minute. They're afraid of UKIP because they promote Christians. Exactly. I don't see anything wrong with that. To be honest with you, we could do with more of that Christian mentality in this country. I would much rather have Christians in control that have been through a reformation than the Islamification of Britain, where we have backward Bronze Age mentality, where we've got women walking around basically covered from head to toe in cloth. These people are just crazy. And I keep seeing this popping up as well, right? For me personally, I'm not going into details why, but Britain First aren't for me. I can't say for anybody else. Britain First just aren't for me. For me, it's their ties with a certain Austrian painter. They've had close ties to Patriotic Alternative as well. I just can't vote for them. I'm not speaking for anybody else. That's just me. If they got rid of Mohammed Zayed Youssef and his lapdog Nigel Farage, then brought back Rupert Lowe, Ben Habib, Howard Cox, etc., I'd be back them. But this won't happen. Reform are compromised. It's not just that either. They literally can't get rid of them, can they? There's no way to get rid of Zayed Youssef or Nigel Farage because, like I said in the video yesterday, they're company directors. Nigel Farage was supposed to hand his shares to the membership, basically turning them from subscribers to members. Basically, once that happens, the members own the party. Collectively, they own the party. So therefore, the leader and the chairman are at the mercy of the membership because they're the bulk of the party. The Reform Party would be the membership, not Nigel Farage or Zayed Youssef. But that's not happening because they're not handing over their shares. Instead, what they've done is, like somebody suggested in my comments today, said they're just moving the deck chairs. All they've done is transferred power from the Reform Party to the Reform Party 2025. And they've made it look like they've actually done something when in reality, they haven't done anything at all. So nothing's changed. The subscribers still don't have any power to remove Nigel Farage or Zayed Youssef or indeed anybody. They can't vote anybody out of the leadership of Reform. It just can't happen. So why we're being asked to vote for them just doesn't make any sense. Bonjour. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think to this? I think it's absolute bullshit. I'm not going to reward a party that basically treats its fellow MPs and its colleagues like dirt and just tries to destroy people. After everything that's come out over the last few weeks about these people, now we're being asked to vote for them. I don't think so. Definitely not. I'm just not for party politics. I've always seen Nigel as a rich man's Del Boy. And when Trump called him King of Europe, he stroked his ego. Remember, it's his PLC, exactly. Or you could vote. I do not consent. Ashley versus White, yeah. I suppose. I want to back a party though, and I'm not changing my mind. I'm going to be voting for UKIP. There is a candidate being offered up in my constituency, so I'll be voting for UKIP. That's what I'll be doing. I won't be voting for the Reform Party. Maybe that's a way to send a message to the Reform Party if everybody did vote for UKIP instead of the Reform and sent them a message saying, you need to wind your necks in and get back on track. Otherwise, everything that you've done, everything that you've worked for is just going to go down the toilet. Personally, I think that's going to happen anyway. I really do. I think it's all going to go down the toilet for Reform. I think they're sunk. I think they're done, in my opinion. I think Nigel Farage is a one-term MP. I think Richard Tice is a one-term MP. After everything that's come out, they've completely lost the faith. And you know what? I look towards the moderates, right? The people who were completely praising the Reform Party before all this happened. And they've all turned against him. They've all turned against Nigel Farage. They won't vote for him. And that's a good indicator to what's actually happening. Ignore the Reform opinion polls. They're rubbish. Look at Nigel Farage's approval rating. It's tanking. People don't want him in charge. My sentiments exactly. I agree with you. As I said, it's a wasted vote. Ultimately, Reform, with their current policies or lack of policies, will still lead to destruction of the country. How about UKIP? Exactly. We've got to stop this mentality of voting for lesser evils, because it just doesn't work. We have a track history of it not working. Look at last time we did this, right? We voted for the lesser of evils in 2019, didn't we? When we voted for Boris Johnson. And look what happened. Things just got a whole lot worse, didn't they? We've got to stop doing it. If we want change, if we really want change, then we've got to vote for change. And the Reform Party isn't change. The Reform Party is the status quo. It is an establishment party. We've seen that now. We've seen from everything Nigel Farage has said from the interviews, haven't we? Where he said in that interview that he's not a populist. So he's not for the people. Not for the people, it's for himself. He's not a populist. I would say that basically they're not. I know we don't really talk about right and left wing parties because basically it's like what Dino Bay said. We're in a situation now where we're not in it with left or right anymore. This is about good versus evil, and I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that now. It's good versus evil. So we're basically on the side of good, and anybody that isn't for wanting our country back, valuing our country, wanting to be tough on the Islamification of our country, radical Islam, taking back our borders, deporting illegal immigrants and sending them back home, stopping the small boats. Anybody that isn't for that is the enemy, as far as I'm concerned. They're the enemy. And that's the way we have to look at it now. And we have to vote that way now as well. We have to vote for people that are on our side and say, look, we support you, but these are our ideas. And I've got nothing but respect for Nick Tenconi because he's on the ground with the people fighting the good fight. He is. You don't see Nigel Farage getting down with that. Yeah, of course, he'll go out with the farmers with all his tweed on, looking ridiculous because he thinks he's the country gent. But will he get down in the dirt with the working class? No, he won't, because he despises us. He despises the working class because he's a class snob. And we've seen that in action, the way that he's reacted to Tommy Robinson, haven't we? He's a class snob. So is Richard Tice and his bit on the side, what's the name? Perhaps if UKIP were in dialogue with the Heritage and Homeland parties along with Lowe. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we just have to send a clear message to one party. We can do all that in the future, but for the upcoming council elections, maybe a shot has to be fired across the bow of the Reform Party to bring them back down to earth because they've got complacent. They think they're the only alternative, and they're not. They've gotten too big for their boots. They think they're the only alternative. Look at us rising up in the polls. I've said this in videos before as well. Opinion polls don't really affect opinion. They try to drive opinion. And that's what people have to realize. Yeah, I can't stand her. She's an absolute waste of skin, that woman. Yeah, so for everybody that's just come in, I just don't get this. I don't understand it. Why the hell, after everything that's happened over the last few weeks, why would anybody want to vote for the Reform Party? Why? And look who's been defecting to the Reform Party lately. It's not right-wing people, because they've been purged. They've all been kicked out of the party. That's what Nigel Farage and Zai Yusuf have been doing. Anybody that expresses an opinion that's to the right of them is kicked out of the party. They've shut down the Amber Valley in Derbyshire branch completely, to a point now where there's actually an opposing group called the ex-reformers that are standing in opposition to reform. That's how bad it's got. But this is all being kept behind closed doors. They're trying to keep it under wraps. Perhaps I'm the enemy then. Can you tell me what exactly UKIP has to offer? Well, they're offering a damn sight more than the Reform Party is. They flip-flop around on everything at the minute. What policies are the Reform Party offering us? UKIP is solid on what they want to do. They've already said, yeah, we want mass deportations of all illegal immigrants. We want to get rid of them, don't they? We want to stand up against the Islamification of this country. These are the two main things that people are concerned about in this country, and yet reform is weak on both of these things. And like I said, I can relate to Nick Tenconi because he's on the ground with the people protesting. Look at, he went to the BBC and was protesting at them for being biased, for not broadcasting the fact that Christians are being massacred all over the world by Islamists. Silence. GB News is Lego Tom, a bill, and yeah. UKIP offer deportation reform does not exactly. And that alone should say everything. That alone should say, yeah, you should vote for UKIP because they're offering what we want. Yeah, I saw that. I actually did a video about that the other day. I did it in the live stream. Yeah, the main three people they've took on lately are, I think it was an ex-Tory MP who's a Liberal. He's a Tory wet. They've taken on Charlie Mullins, who was a Remainer during Brexit, who is batshit crazy about the vax as well. And now they've just taken on a Liberal Democrat who's a globalist. They're all globalists, by the way. So you can see the way the Reform Party is actually going. It's not going to the right at all. It's swinging deeply into the left. And the left is not something we need in this country right now. We need people that are tough on immigration, law and order, and to push back against the radical Islam that is slowly taking over our country. Basically, the boomers are relying on opium. The Junes, don't get me started on June Slater. She's in complete denial, that woman, about Nigel Farage and the Reform Party. Basically, the boomers are relying on opium, June Slater of this world, that wasn't their house prices to remain high, who are not affected by immigration. Exactly. Have you seen her house? Have you seen where she lives? Mass deportations of whom? How many people? Globalism, nationalism are forms of governance. Zero difference. One is more localized. We're talking about the deportations of illegal immigrants, the people that are already here. They need to go. I think everybody's in agreement about that. You can't have illegal immigrants in this country. There's approximately, they're estimating, there's over 1 million illegal immigrants in this country at this moment in time. And we don't know how many. To be honest, nobody knows, do they? The rough estimate is over 1 million, but there could be more because they're only the ones that we know about. And obviously, we need people that are going to be tough on this, that are going to deport these people. Everybody on the MI5 watch list should be deported. Every Islamist that they're watching on that list should be deported out of this country. They shouldn't even be here because you can't watch all of them. So what's the best thing to do? If we can't watch all of them, we'll just deport them. Then we know they're no threat anymore, don't we? That would be the best solution for that. I'm angry because I'm just sick and tired of this shit of voting for lesser evils all the time. So look at some more of the comments. Exactly. They are. Second Reform Party member reported to police according to upcoming 2C. Oh my God. So I'm guessing that is going to be Lee Anderson for his altercation the other day with, what's his face, the idiot anti-Brexit guy. Steve Bray. Steve Bray's his name in it. Yeah, I'm not defending Steve Bray. I was just pointing out the fact that of the situation, because if that had been Rupert Lowe, that it wouldn't, wouldn't have touched the floor, would it? With investigations, I haven't even heard if they're investigating Lee Anderson yet. I won't be voting for reform. No, you shouldn't vote for reform. Danconi is a decent at rallying the troops and protesting, but he's not really a leader. He's more of a sixth form activist. Well, you could say that about the leader of Britain First as well, couldn't you, really? Farage will wind, as I said, but yeah. Please don't get me started on boomers. Yeah. I reckon June Slater or her husband are on Nigel payroll. Well, she's already admitted that she's actually in WhatsApp groups with these people. And the way that she referred to Tommy Robinson was disgusting. She didn't have the guts to mention his name because that was so she didn't offend anybody in the Reform Party. And after she did that, I thought, nah, I'm done with you. You just, nah, done. There's been no polls with UKIP yet, online polls, but they're beat Reform UK. Exactly. Exactly, Danny. I know who you are as well, yeah. We did a live stream once with Tom Fury ages ago. We did it. But yeah, exactly. I don't understand why Richard Inman is promoting the Reform Party. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like he's a UKIP man. So surely he's saying, look, we could fire shots across the bow at the Reform Party by voting for UKIP in the upcoming elections, council elections. Send a message. Definitely don't vote for the Reform Party because you're rewarding evil, in my opinion. You are. You're rewarding them for bad behaviour. But we're basically sending them a message like it doesn't matter if you treat your MPs like absolute shite, we'll still vote for you because you're the lesser of evils. That's not a message we should be sending. We should be sending them. I'm getting my words tongue tied now because I'm angry. The latest figures are 1.5 million, but at least double or triple that. Exactly. People forget that the boats that make landfall, the ones that are actually escorted in by border force, for like every one of those, there's got to be at least two that they don't ever find because they were finding inflatable. When Active Patriot was walking along the beach down in Dover, he was finding loads and loads of abandoned dinghies on the shoreline. So for everyone that's escorted in, there must be at least two or three where they don't know where they went. So Tanconi is a yob in a suit. Okay, fair enough. That's your opinion. I don't think he is, though. Don't forget, that's what people were saying about Tommy Robinson when he was out on the street and just doing exactly the same thing. You've got Free Tommy Robinson as your icon. People were saying the exact same things about Tommy. Was that true? No, it wasn't. deportation, re-immigration. Exactly. And I agree. I agree with Rupert. If you don't integrate into this country, you should be removed. Look at how many, and I'm not going to hold back on this, right? We don't have Muslim communities in this country. We have Muslim colonies. They live as separate entities away from this country. They have their own rules, their own laws within their communities, and they are no-go zones. I've seen them. They exist in Sheffield. That's really close to me. I've walked them. I've been around them at night, and it's not somewhere you want to be at night, to be honest with you. If they don't want to integrate into this country, they should be removed and deported. Totally agree with Danny there. No government is going to put 1 million people plus people, including UKIP. If they somehow manage it to get in, which they won't, mass deportation won't involve across all services. Yep. Get voting UKIP. F off to the Reform Party. It can go screw itself. I don't care what these big posh political commentators are saying, because to be honest with you, sometimes they're as thick as two short planks, really, in my opinion. Yeah, they may have lots of degrees and they know big words, but that doesn't mean F all. I've met some of these people in real life, all these university graduates and stuff like that are basically thick as pig shit when it comes to practical application of knowledge. And I think this is one of those cases, in my opinion. I want my country back. That's what I want. I want my country back, and I'm willing to fight for it. That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying that going down the reform route isn't the way to do it. That's not the way you're going to get your country back. They are not offering anything that we need. They're weak on Islam. They're weak on immigration, both immigration, legal immigration and illegal immigration. They're weak on it. That's a fact. Nigel Farage said himself that he doesn't want to go down the path of mass deportations. It can be done. You just have to have the willingness to do it. Trump is proving that right now. And I've just heard as well, I watched this the other day as well. I think it was on Twitter I read this, right? Pakistan is basically deporting, I think it is 800,000 Afghanis. They're deporting them. So if technically a third world country can deport 800,000 Afghans, we can do the same here with Islamists. No problem. It's just having a willingness to do it, formulating a plan of how to do it, and getting the right people in power that want to do it. That should be the goal. None of this defeatist bullshit of we can't do this, we can't do that because of this and that. It has to be done. Let's have a look at some more of these people. I'm going to have to go in a bit because this was just like an off-the-cuff stream because I was just so angry at that. It's like, what are you... After all the videos that Carl Benjamin has made with Lotus Eaters and himself, just telling us and describing what Nigel Farage and his crew are like. We've had Richard Inman on Paul Thorpe's show saying to us that he doesn't trust the Reform Party. And he's a UKIP man. And he's saying we should vote for them. It's madness. These people flip-flap around more than Nigel Farage does. Difference is, I know people in Pak Army, they will deport Afghans at gunpoint. Exactly. And if that is what is needed, That is what is needed, in my opinion. Might be a bit extreme for some people, but let's not forget, right? The majority of countries in the world deport illegal immigrants. It's not a radical thing to say because they're criminals. Most of them do significant prison sentences and then they're kicked out of the country. But us, we're just too soft. We're just way too soft. And that's down to our leadership over the last, 5 decades. We've just had soft leadership. We've taken tolerance too far. Yeah, fair enough. There's a difference between helping actual refugees from war zones and people who are just coming here to be economic migrants, which is blatantly obvious. The immigration to this country, I'm not talking about illegal immigration, I'm talking about immigration now, should be a trickle. It should be trickling into the country. It shouldn't be open the floodgates and let everybody in. It should be a trickle. There's no way we should be letting in more than 100,000 people a year, in my opinion. And this is our country's fault as well, because they've not invested in our own people. They haven't. Instead, what they've done is, for jobs that need filling, they just think, oh, you know what? We'll just get cheap labor from Europe. We'll get cheap labor from Africa. We'll fill all the service industry jobs with cheap labor from around the world. We'll do it that way. Instead of investing in our own people and saying, you know what? Cut immigration. We've got job shortages. Let's fill it with our own people first. That's the way it should be. That's the way immigration should work. We're full. We're a tiny country. We're not a country like Canada. We're not a country like America or Europe, where they can soak up vast amounts of people. We're a tiny country with a failing infrastructure. I said this in one of my other live streams. We haven't built a reservoir in this country for water since 1992. Our infrastructures can't cope. Our infrastructure was never designed to take this many people in. It wasn't. That's why we're struggling. Look at housing. Our housing was designed for a small population, not hundreds of thousands of people coming in every year. It's crazy. Exactly. Millions on benefits. That made my piss boil as well earlier. I'll try and get it on the screen in a bit. I'll try and take a screenshot of it. They're actually giving illegal immigrants driving lessons. Right? When I left school and I went for help for the job centre, I was saying, can you give me some help to get driving lessons, because I'm interested in doing driving jobs. They told me that was a luxury and I had to pay for it myself. But no, I think it's down in Kent. I think it's a county council down in Kent that's actually, it's Kent Council. They've actually paid out, I think it's £20,000 in taxpayers' money to give illegal immigrants driving lessons. People that have never paid into the system. I went a few weeks back because I'm out of work at the minute. I'm out of work because, DEI, I can't get a job in my industry, which is security. It's very, very hard at the minute. Nobody's taking on. People are going to the back of the queue in favour of immigrants. That's why you're seeing so many immigrants in security, but I digress, right? I went down to the local job centre when I had my meeting, and they told me, they said, I needed a passport because I was going to get a job as security at a local hospital, and I needed to have a passport because they were going to do what do you call it now? They do an extended vetting of you when you do that. It's extended vetting because obviously it's vulnerable people and stuff like that. And I needed my passport, and I didn't have any money to get one. So I says, can you give me some help to get a passport so I can get this job? And they turned me down. And the lecture I got from the lady was that we're the government, we have to be responsible with where we put taxpayers' money. That's the lecture I got. I didn't get the job because I couldn't apply for it in time. It had gone. That's the nature of our country. And yet we've got people. This is what made me so angry as well. You've got people in hotels all around the country living the life of luxury, getting millions of pounds spent on them every day. Free food, free accommodation, free electricity, free gas, all that kind of stuff. Doctors coming to the migrant hotels, giving them free dentistry and that kind of stuff, who have never paid into the system, who I'm paying for because I have paid into the system all my life. This is the first time I've been unemployed in my life. I've always been in employment, always. And it's shocking to me. You go in there, and if you're a native Brit, you're treated like a criminal. You are. You have to jump through so many hoops. Immigrants are security, protecting immigrants. All security seems to be non-white. Yeah, exactly. And what I would like to know is, how are these people getting their SIA licenses? Because you have to have a 5-year checkable work history, a 5-year checkable residence address history. All the security guards guarding the hotels are not qualified. They're just handed the job. Exactly. I've watched so many auditors that are going around, like Yorkshire Rose and things like that, who are going around all the hotels, and some of them don't even have an SIA license on display, which is a criminal offence under the Security Industries Association Act. You have to have a license on display if you're working in a security capacity in this country. The only exception is if you are in-house security, like say Asda employ their own security, you don't have to have an SIA license. It's only if you're working on behalf of a third party, you have to have a license. Not only have you paid into the system, but generations have paid, many of whom paid with both blood and coin. Exactly. And I've definitely paid my fair share of tax over the years. Definitely. I'm 51 now, and I've worked since I left school when I was 16, and I've always paid my tax. I've always paid into the system. So I think I'm entitled to just a little bit of benefit in all that time, since I've not claimed anything in that time. I see it as getting my own money back anyway. I really do. I'm just getting some of my money back that I've paid in. It's not a lot, but it's there. Yeah, I've seen that too. But this is all this diversity, equity, and inclusion rubbish. The amount of jobs, I kid you not, if I could show the list of the amount of jobs that I've applied for this week, every week that I do this, I've applied for at least, what, I would say 600 jobs a week, and I never hear anything. Whereas a few years ago, I could go from one job straight into another straight away, no problem in security. But now, when I'm reading down the job application, and it asks you if you're white, British, or whatever, it actually asks you your nationality. And so, obviously, if you're of that persuasion, you get put to the back of the list, and everybody else who isn't white British gets pulled to the forefront, which is exactly what diversity and equity inclusion laws are. They're racism. It's discrimination. That's what they are. But anyway, enough of me. You haven't researched Sarah Steele. Clearly, the Patriot parties and votes combined can't beat the Green Party or Lib Dems. I've actually done research on it. You parrot falsehoods. They're not going to give it back to you, though. The post-war period in the West was an anomaly, not stable social order. Yeah. Richard Inman is a member of UKIP. Elon has said X has been hacked. Okay, but do you really think that whoever's hacking X would really take the time to go and hack Richard Inman just to put that post on X? I think they would more or less try to hack Elon Musk. And I don't think it's actually a hack. I think it's a denial of service attack, which is where they try to overwhelm the servers to crash X. That's what they tried to do. From what I've been hearing about Elon Musk, that's what he's been under attack from. I had immigrant neighbours, and they said each one of them in the same week got 5k check after they had been in the country for 1 year. They got 15 at once, bought a big car, and moved house. I can neither deny or confirm that. Who needs mainstream media and polls when we can campaign together with Mark next? Yep. Your land, Stephanie Tune, or is it yours because you claim it is? They're attacking Elon because yeah, exactly. I mean, look at what they've been doing to him lately. They've been attacking his dealerships, people who own all cars and stuff like that. So, Richard Inman said they're doing the same to his movement, and he posted a video yesterday about a coalition with Rupert, Ben, etc. Yeah, okay. So you think that Richard's been hacked, do you? And this is why he's put this up. But why would it just be exactly? If you've been hacked, obviously, if you want to do damage to somebody's reputation, you do more than this, don't you? I'm not having a go. I'm just trying to look at it logically. The Great British Pack. Right, I thought this was actually going to be a party. I did a video about this. And apparently it's going to be a right-wing pressure group, which I don't get. The EU smuggling them. If we forget his name, but Himmler's man designed the EU and was commissioner of the EEC. This is a Nazi slowly plan. We didn't win the war. The EU is not. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've signed the pledge, and these things are really good, right? I'm not saying they're not good. I'm not saying the British pack isn't a good thing. I'm not saying the pledge isn't a good thing, but they're absolutely useless without anything to back them up, like something to actually implement them and put them into practice. Like say a political party. I bet Richard will do a live tonight with Paul Thorpe, hopefully, and clarify things. Hello, how are you doing? They froze Richard's Inman's bank accounts. Yeah, I heard about that. That's obviously to do with him being political, isn't it? Right, I don't want to leave this on for an hour. All I wanted to do was come on and actually talk about this, because this on screen pissed me off. Because I don't think we should be rewarding the Reform Party for everything they've done over the last few weeks. If anything, we should be saying, forget them and get behind UKIP on this situation. Just for this instance, just for these local elections, get behind UKIP and vote for them and send a message. That's all I'm saying. People constantly come on my videos and say to me, what can we do? What can we do to make a difference? Well, this is a way to make a difference, isn't it? It's something active you can do to make a difference. Maybe if the Reform Party take a drop in people voting for them, it will force some kind of action. I don't think it will. I think they're too far gone, and there's just not enough people in the party to make a difference. There isn't. If I would have said that if UKIP had done really well at the last general election and got, what they should have got, which should have been, at least, 200 MPs into Parliament, I would have said, yeah, maybe you could force change because there's more than one MP to go up against Nigel Farage. There's enough people to form a rebellion against him. But there simply isn't. There's only there's 4 of them now, isn't there? It's just at this stage, no rebellion would have any effect, because all Nigel will do is just make some shit up about them and kick them out of the party, like what he's done with Rupert Lowe. Independents on YouTube should up the ante and do more daily live streams like in America. Yeah. On the ballot, you have 1 or 10 parties splitting our vote. Well, maybe right. This is the way forward. Maybe if the smaller parties won't form an alliance, maybe the people voting should form an alliance and decide on which party to vote for. Start groups, discuss, form an alliance, and vote for the alternative party. That way, it doesn't matter how many little parties there are. You vote, you decide amongst yourselves. Because, look, let's face it, who gives these parties the power? It's us, the people, right? So if we choose everybody to vote for one particular party in the upcoming council elections, then that's the party that's going to get the most focus, isn't it? It doesn't matter how many different parties there are. That's irrelevant. It's if the voters decide to vote for one particular party. And that's, fortunately enough, that's the power that lies with us, isn't it? (10 to 14) right-wing parties and independents, 650 candidates need to be from existing smaller parties. But that is made irrelevant. That's made irrelevant. It doesn't matter how many parties are on the ballot. If everybody decides to get together and says, right, we're all voting for this particular party during the council elections, they're the ones that will win. I can't vote in May. Worthing, Wessex, not allowed. I take it your elections have been cancelled then by the Labour Party. Norfolk cancelled, and the head of the council in my town is going to have a very rude awakening if they turn up at this year's remembrance service. I can imagine. Yes, cancelled. It's unbelievable, isn't it? What we're actually putting up with in this country. Cancelling of elections, something that's never happened before. People just accept it. Wrong, Vindicator. I've covered the data. These parties combined don't even beat the Greens. I've looked at the numbers. I'm not saying about the parties. I'm not saying the parties should combine. I'm saying the voters should. Because I'm pretty sure that it doesn't matter how many right-wing parties you have on the ballot paper. It's the voters that decide who to vote for. So if you have a coalition of voters, you get people together and say, vote for these people, then vote for them. Then that's the party that will win. That's what I'm saying. Doesn't matter how many people are on the ballot. If people get together as groups in their local towns and form groups of who to vote for, yeah, makes sense. There's no point being defeatist about it, Luke, is there? There's no point being defeatist about it. We can't afford to be defeatist. We've got to try to come up with solutions about the situation. You know, all I'm seeing people doing is just coming up with ways that won't work. It won't work. This won't work. That won't work. Well, fair enough. What are your solutions to the problem then? How would you solve this? Come up with solutions. There's no point being critical of everybody's solutions and then come up with nothing yourself to replace it. That's what I find annoying about all of this. I really do. I see it so often in my comment sections. People so defeatist that they're saying, well, there's only one party we can vote for, and that's Reform. Well, no, there isn't. There isn't. There are plenty of parties out there. If you don't want to vote for Reform, don't vote for them. Vote for another party. It's that simple. But people just don't realise that they hold the power. None of these parties can get into power without people voting for them. Right. I think I've said all that I'm going to say on this. People need to come up with solutions. I'm not defeatist. I'm pro-liberty, not statist. I just stated facts regarding the portion of the vote for the right wing, not beating the Green Party. Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about individual parties beating each other or parties forming a coalition to try and beat another party. I'm talking about the voters because that's where the real power lies, isn't it? It's not with the parties, it's with the people voting for them. So all I'm saying is people don't realize this, that if people actually got together and all came to a conclusion and said, right, we're all going to vote for UKIP in the upcoming elections, forget any of the other right-wing little parties, vote for UKIP, get behind UKIP and vote for them. They're the ones that would win. Right, I'm going to end this live stream because I've said what I want to say. But we've got to get out of this defeatist attitude. We really have. And just realize that presently the only system that we've got is the system that we've been handed to us, right? The only way that this system, that we replace this system totally, is burn it to the ground. And I don't think anybody's got the stomach for that yet. We're talking about revolution, civil war, that kind of stuff. Nobody's got the stomach to do that yet. And that's the only way that you can replace the current system. It is. Because you can't change it from within. You would have to overthrow it and replace it. That's the only way to do it. And nobody in this country has got the stomach for that yet. Nobody. People might say they have, but they haven't. I see it in my comment sections. We need a revolution. Well, good. Well, go on then. Go and have a revolution. Start it. Be the person that starts the revolution. But they're always waiting for somebody else to start it. Because nobody's got the stomach for it. You sure about that? Go down to your local pub. Yeah, but it's all right talking about it on a Saturday and Friday night when you've had a few pints down your neck. It's a whole different reality to going out there when you're sober and starting a revolution, starting a civil war, planning military action. I'm not trying to diss anybody. I'm just stating facts. Nobody has got the stomach to do it. They talk a good game. They talk about changing the system, swapping the system out. But yeah, how are you going to do that? How are you going to change the system that's been around for centuries, for thousands of years? How are you going to change the system? How has that happened in the past? Exactly, Steve. They don't understand. You know, once you've been to what I have, I worked as private security out in Iraq for 5 years. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. And I can guarantee your average person on the street in this country doesn't have the stomach to do what's necessary. It's not like Call of Duty where you get to respawn after you've been shot. In reality, in a revolution, if you're shot, you're shot. And this isn't something that's going to be happening thousands of miles away in a different country. This is something that's going to be happening on your doorstep. You're going to have fighting in your back garden. You're going to have fighting in your streets. Your children are going to witness it. Are you ready for that? Because I can assure you, you're not. And I'm sorry I'm coming down and hard on people, but it's the truth. You're not ready for that yet. Nobody is. At the minute, the only way out of this is a political solution. And I'm hoping one can be found. I'm hoping that Rupert Lowe and whatever forms around him, that's going to be the solution. That we can all rally behind him. Because if Rupert Lowe doesn't come up with something and he just decides to sit in Parliament as an independent, which is what he could do, that's what he could do if he decides to do that, then we all need to get behind an alternative party. And the only viable one I can see at the minute is UKIP, because it is building its infrastructure as we speak, behind the scenes. I've got to agree with Luke. Nobody's got the stomach for it. Everybody talks a good game, but when it actually comes to doing something, we'll wait for somebody else to start it before we kick off. If you want to go out there and start a revolution, go out and start one. It won't end well, though. I can guarantee it. Exactly. I join UKIP. Exactly. The best thing you can do if you want to do something is go and join UKIP as a member. That's what I'm going to do. I haven't joined yet, but as soon as I get the money, I'm going to join UKIP. Definitely, I'm joining them. I'm joining UKIP. They need support, boosting membership. That's how you can help. That's how you can make a difference. Because you can bet your bottom dollar that Reform Party have got their eye on UKIP. They'll be watching them to see how big their membership is if they're rising. But that's what I said to Luke about his view that the Green poll more does he want the country to vote a solution or have the country slip to anarchy. We have to do this peacefully. Exactly. It's not any type of conflict is not going to end well for either side. It won't. Reform is membership, not a member with input. Well, it's basically if you join Reform, you're a subscriber because you're not a member. You're just handing over £25 with no say with how that party actually works. If you think voters have any choice or power, Steve, I can't help you. Good luck. Hope you escape your programming conditioning. To a certain degree, I agree with Luke there. I hope for a peaceful solution. But I remember what Dominic Cummings showed. I don't think people have actually seen that when he was in government, where he saw the inner workings of the government, where Keir Starmer, where Boris Johnson was just handed briefs to read out scripts because all the decisions had already been made for him. So basically, Parliament and your government are just pantomime to give the illusion of governance. They're not real. So when you're thinking you're actually voting to make a change or a difference, you're not. I wish it was different. That's why I'm trying to be as positive as I possibly can. I'm trying. I'll be honest with you that if I truly stated my position on things, I would be arrested about how I would deal with our current situation. I'd be arrested for it. I can't broadcast what I would do because that's just me personally. But you know, the only thing we've got is voting at the minute. That's the only system we've got is to vote. I'll put a few more comments. Try and get a few more people up. Let's have a look at this, Steve. Right, okay. I've got evidence that the government falsified the vote. My point is, do we want defeatism, like Lou Reed suggests, or do we want an overall civil war like the bloke from London Yuri predicted? Exactly. It's like it's tough. It's very, very tough to decide what to do. I think everybody can agree that our system is compromised. It just is. The whole way we are governed and everything is compromised. The first past the post system guarantees that only certain people ever get elected. Nobody else ever gets a look in. Power has been centralised to Westminster regarding England. Yeah, other countries like Wales and Scotland have their own parliaments, but it's all centralised. I'm just trying to give out ideas without going too far and getting myself arrested. I'm trying to work within the confines of what we can work with. A lot of people just think that, we can try the peaceful way and, try and solve things that way by voting. But eventually, if it doesn't work, and somewhere down the line, I don't know when, it could be decades from now, when people have finally had enough of understanding that the current system that we're in just doesn't work anymore, because it doesn't. And then finally they have enough and everything kicks off. It will eventually. I'm sure of it. The guy from, what was it, Steve? I forget which institute he works for. I did have it up on screen earlier. The guy who predicted the civil war within the next 5 years. It will happen. Has given the best suggestion so far is to give reform a real fright in the local elections. And yes, I expect a knock on the door from right. Yeah. If anything, I'm not advocating for civil war or anything like that. I'm really not. Violence, it just wouldn't be good. It wouldn't. Lots of people will lose their lives. And unless you've been in a war zone and seen the horrors of war, then talking like this is easy. But once you've been there and you've seen the consequences of it, you realize that, yeah, and I'm not just being a wishy-washy lefty saying, oh, violence isn't the answer. I've seen what violence can do. And yeah, sometimes violence is the answer. Look at World War II, look at World War One. I don't agree with this sentiment that violence solves nothing. It clearly does. But we have to exhaust every option until we're left with no other alternative, until we get to that. That's the way I look at it. There's there's talk of a countrywide strike on Twitter, X. There's a group forming. I'll be honest with you, I prefer that, a national strike, to violence. Everybody just stay at home. Bring the country to a halt. Just for one day would be enough to send a shockwave. It would. But again, it would take everybody in the country to get behind it, and not everybody in the country is going to get behind it. It's the same with the council tax thing about people refusing to pay the council tax. Everybody would need to get behind that for it to be effective, because if not, the stormtroopers are going to come storming in. They're going to kick your door in. They're going to take your goods, and if you resist, they're going to take you away. And that's just going to add into the fear behind the government, and everybody's going to be terrified, and nobody's going to resist ever again because they've seen what happened to their neighbour. So I don't understand how that's going to work either. The suggestions that people are coming up with would need everybody to get behind them. If you want to do a national strike, everybody's got to get behind it. If you want to withhold your council tax, everybody's got to get behind it. Otherwise, there's no point. A national strike will never happen. Too many dim-wit, political, uneducated people about it. Exactly. And this is why. You never go after the local government money. Well, this is a misconception, because everybody believes that your council tax goes to your local government. It doesn't. When you pay council tax, it goes into a national pot, and then each council is given a budget, and that council tax is fed back to them in their budget. That's why they all have budgets. So this war will be natives against non-natives. I'll be honest with you, right? I've been looking at the situation. I think it won't be. Everybody thinks it's going to be patriots against Islamists. This is going to be the start of the civil war. I don't think it's going to come from that direction. I think the civil war is going to come from the farming community. Look at the way they're being persecuted at the minute, the way Starmer is now giving powers to local government to take away their farmland by force and giving them a below price for their land. It's just another attack on farmers. They've just had, a subsidy cancelled by Starmer. I think it's a subsidy where they can use their farmland for other things, like if they want to build, like Clarkson's farm, if you want to build a restaurant on your farm, or you want to build a farm shop, that subsidy has now been revoked. They're no longer taking any more claims. So I think it's going to come from that direction. I really do. Yes, but local authorities are responsible to collect it, and they are ruthless. Exactly. This is what I'm saying. You will have the bailiffs coming around to your house, and you will lose everything. That's what I'm saying. Hang on a minute. I was like, yeah, the fallow land subsidy. What is that, Steve? Can you explain that? Because when I was looking at it on Twitter, there was another subsidy as well that had been revoked. It was one where the government gives a grant so you can do other things with your farmland apart from farming to bring in an extra income, like a farm shop or a restaurant or something like that. Right. I've been going for an hour and 10 minutes. I'm going to call it. So if you want to continue your debates in the chat below, you're quite welcome to. Right, see what Steve is saying about this. Right, okay, Steve. That is the set aside of land for wildlife and local thing, like workshops. Yeah. So basically, they're taking away an incentive to get a different income from the land, and it's all deliberate. It's all deliberate for the farmers. It's to force them into selling the land because they've got no other options. And now, with this new bill that's going to go through, it's something to do with infrastructure. I haven't read it all yet. It's something to do with the procurement of land for infrastructure. And basically, local authorities can go to farmers and say, we're buying that field. And the farmer can't say no because it's a compulsory buy. And they can offer the farmer below market for the land, basically. And then they can sell it off to a property developer who wants to build houses for above market price. So shocking, isn't it? Bit of everything in this live stream, bit of an off the cuff one. I just wanted to cover this with Richard Inman and Carl Benjamin. We had some really good discussions this stream. I think that the outcome of this is that we just have to get behind one party. There has to be a consensus, and to send a clear message to the Reform Party that they're not the only party in these local elections. And if they don't start shifting back towards the left, towards the right where they're supposed to be, then they're not going to get support anymore. I don't think they'll get support anyway, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people are disillusioned with them now. I think everything that's happened with Rupert Lowe, Nigel Farage, and Reform Party has damaged them more than they're letting on. And like I said, don't look at the opinion polls for the party. Look at the approval ratings for Nigel Farage. His approval rating is tanking. People don't like him. So don't always look at the opinion polls. Like I said before, opinion polls don't really reflect public opinion. They try to steer public opinion in the way they want them to go. Take that consideration when you're looking at them. So when you see Reform Party on 27% above Labour, taking into consideration that might not entirely be accurate. And it depends where these polls are done anyway. If they're doing polls in areas where Reform Party is heavily supported, then obviously they're going to get a decent section of the vote, aren't they? It's always best to look at several different polls rather than just one. It's the only way. And like I said, UKIP, it's an established party. It's been around for longer than the Reform Party has. Like Carl Benjamin is saying here, it's like a new party can't just emerge and poll the established and outpoll the establishment parties, which is why we need to vote Reform, a party which is officially incorporated in 2021. Well, UKIP's been around a lot longer than that. So if everybody gets behind UKIP, it is a household name, everybody knows about UKIP. And if you want to help them and you don't want to give them monetary support or anything like that, get out delivering leaflets for them. Get leaflets through people's doors. Wake people up. That's how you can help. Don't just be a defeatist. Don't just be one of these people that looks at other people's solutions, rubbishes other people's solutions, and then doesn't come with any solutions of their own about how to change things, because that doesn't help anybody, does it? Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. I've had quite a few people watching today, actually. It was well over 100 earlier, which was pretty good for my live streams. So yeah, right. Well, I'll put this on screen. Don't forget, support the coalition so we can build a government. Uniting the right under the Great British Pack. Okay. Hopefully this forming group identity can make some political ground. Hopefully. But yeah, guys, right, that's it. I'm going to end it. So thank you all for coming. Have a great rest of your day, whatever you're doing. And I'm going to get back to applying for some more jobs. So I shall see you all later in another video, maybe. See you soon, guys. Thanks for coming. This is Vindicator, signing off.